Chris Brown joins us on this Buffalo Bills Football Monday. He had the call of the game yesterday from a windy Orchard Park. 6 touchdowns for the reigning MVP, Josh Allen. And Chris, I would say the offensive performance, at least for me, a sight for sore eyes. Shades of vintage Josh Allen at his very best. We've seen it, from time to time. And maybe the first time this year we see it from start to finish where Allen is just playing free, however you want to describe it. But it was entertaining, that's for sure.
What were you going to say, three-dimensional chess? It was kind of like that. Yeah, and I think a lot of people in the stands were just kind of nodding and saying, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. Like, that's what we're accustomed to seeing. And I don't think people are expecting 6 touchdowns every week, but I think what we're all looking for is what has become so familiar over the last handful of years, where Josh and his decision-making kind of controls the flow of the offense. And it's something that Steve and I discussed on our daily show and even on our podcast this past week. The Bills on first down had gotten a little too run-heavy, and I know you guys have talked about it as well. It was 58.5% run on first down this season. It's a little too high and a little too predictable. And it was interesting that at the start of the game yesterday, 3 of their 4 first downs were runs. And then they started to work against that tendency. Because I think everybody would agree, coordinators alike, 58.5% a little too high, a little too predictable, and a little too much of a tendency. And so you look at the end of the game, they were exactly 50%, 12 for 24 run, 12 for 24 pass on first down. I'm not saying that was the ultimate difference, but it helps. And I think it helped yesterday.
Yeah, there was a lot of play action on first down. I saw too, Chris. So, making the defense think you are going to. And Allen, 6 touchdowns. And Chris, did it feel like he was, a little off at times? Like, he wasn't perfect. Even though it was 6 touchdowns, there were even more plays out there. It's maybe a testament to the Bills' offense yesterday.
Yeah, I remember he airmailed a pass to Shakir along the sideline and went over his head and had a couple other misses that he had. Because I know, the stat line in terms of total yard, it's crazy that he had 317 yards on 19 completions. That's pretty stupid.
Right.
But he's as he is usually wont to do, he's thinking about, his 11 incompletions. And even after the game, when people were asking him about the touchdown pass to Shavers, this is why I say he's the most self-aware quarterback I've ever been around. He is talking about the play where, he buys a lot of extra time and then just chucks it down the field to Shavers, who, to his credit, made a difficult catch. That is a harder catch than some people might realize. But he, in reviewing the play, said, yeah, progression 1 was open. I should have thrown it to him. Progression 2 was open. I should have thrown it to him. So even he knows, hey, stay within the structure of the offense. And look, when the results are that, it's hard to argue. But I think he knows, and I think it's an indication on how much this has been spoken to him, that, look, there are plays to be made within the structure of the offense. We're trying to help you by giving you options at the ready, on time, and within structure. And if you stick to that consistently, we may be even better than we already are with you pulling rabbits out of hats. So I thought he was excellent last season in playing within structure last year. I think the last few weeks, and look, when they get off to slow starts, I think he puts it on himself to do more. So, this was more of a back and forth game. But it's nice to know that even he is aware of the plays that were there to be made, even on a very successful scoring play.
And that's, Chris, to me, that's why the changes they made at receiver made such a difference, because Allen, he's going to stay in structure. He's shown he can do that really well. He also, of course, has an incredible creativity and artistry to his game, and his deepest instincts are, I think, to look long. He's a guy with a big arm that can throw it over top of everybody. And in this game, maybe more than any other this year or in a while, they have guys winning on the outside and finding space on the outside. This more than any other game, throws were outside of the hashes, outside the numbers, and they had great success in doing that.
Yeah, and it was encouraging to see. And you almost wonder if, and I heard you mention this, I think, on the pregame yesterday, in the absence of Kincaid, I think Tampa was a little uncertain as to what they would see in the passing game. Like, is Knox just going to replace Kincaid? Do they go heavier to Shakir in the middle of the field? And I almost felt like Tampa was defending from the middle of the field out. And I think the Bills were also helped by the fact that Tampa's best cover corner goes out with a hip injury in the first half, Jamel Dean. I mean, he had for cornerbacks in the league, he had the lowest passer rating against in football coming into the game. I think it was something stupid, like 37.1 or something. And he goes out in the first half, and they got to put Benjamin Morrison, their rookie corner from Notre Dame, on the field, who they've been trying to platoon and get playing time, but it clearly was not the same. And they picked on him a good amount once he was in the game for good. So got to take advantage of matchups when you have the opportunity, and they did that.
What do you make of the defense, Chris? I mean, they do force 4 punts. They get 6 overall. They get 6 stops in the game. I was just going through some numbers with Joe where the Bills average forcing 4 punts a game. So 4 is kind of on their average. And 4 punts per game forced is in the top 10 in the NFL. Like, that is a good day from a defense to force 4 punts. It just happens in a game where there are 12 possessions for each side. So, like, I feel like it's a mixed bag from the defense. I know people are going to key in on the run defense, but when you have an offense like they had, playing like they had, it's about getting a couple plays, a couple stops, and they did that job.
Yeah, especially right in the beginning of the game. I mean, Tampa gets a possession, 1st and goal at the 7, and to hold them to 3 there, I thought was gigantic. So you got to credit the defense there for holding them to 3 on a goal-to-go situation on a turnover. And look, they gave up 136 rushing yards in the first half. Was it bad? Absolutely. But again, getting back to what this defensive staff does extraordinarily well is making the necessary corrections at halftime and coming out and stymieing that in the second half. So 136 on the ground for the Bucs in the first half, and it gets cut by more than 50% in the second half to just 66 yards on the ground. So if you don't get killed and completely run over in the first half, and Buffalo's offense is producing points like we expect them to, the team should still at the very least be in the game, and if not, even maybe ahead by a little bit. Maybe the lead isn't 10 or 14 points, but maybe they're at least ahead, and the defense has adjusted to stem the tide.
Chris Brown with us. Chris, Cole Bishop, another big play from him, and his season continues to get better and better. It feels like he's getting more consistent, and the splash plays are continuing to come too.
Yeah, and I'd be curious to know, because I know Jordan Poyer is getting a lot of credit for kind of helping Cole Bishop evolve, and I would agree. Like, just sitting in the film room at his elbow, going over the nuances and idiosyncrasies of what to look for in preparation for an opponent, I think has done him a world of good, because I think we can all agree he's playing as confidently and decisively as we've ever seen him perform. And because of that anticipation, it just looks like he's playing so much faster. And so instead of being a step late on a play arriving, he's now early. I just wonder going forward how they're going to handle the other safety spot, because Poyer obviously has value on the field. I would be curious to know if he is the guy chiefly working with Terrell Bernard to get everybody lined up pre-snap, because there have been fewer mental errors, fewer busts with Poyer on the field. So I have to believe he has a hand in that. Is he leaving that all to him so Cole Bishop can just go out there and play his assignment and not worry about everybody else? That's what I'm kind of curious to know, because Hancock, again, doesn't get a lot of time on the field. And so you say, where is the balance there? Because you need the speed and athleticism on the back end, especially when you're going against receiving cores like Houston's going to put out there and like Cincinnati's going to put out there in a couple of weeks. So
Chris Brown joining us on the Western Hotline ahead of Bills Texans. We'll turn it around pretty quickly here for this game against Houston, which is a tough defense. But special teams a big part of this game as well, Chris. Like Sean McDermott's going to love his complimentary football. Defense made some plays. Offense, of course, was great. And special teams might have had its best day in a long time. Without a holding penalty that is maybe suspect, it's a banner day. That and the Hardman fumble.
Yeah,
the fumble also bad. But I'm not putting that on the special teams coach. That's a guy drops a ball. But the scheme, the design, what they executed, it was a great day for special teams.
Yeah, it was good. And, we talked about it in the roundtable. The Bills were 28th in average drive start in the league. And I think it was their own 28-yard line. I think that was their average drive start on the season thus far. And you look at yesterday's effort, and their average drive start is the 37. Now, I know a 10-yard difference doesn't sound like a big deal. Ask any special teams coordinator. You improved your average drive start by 10 yards in a game from what it was on the season. That's a huge difference. And then second, you look at the drive starts for the Bills over the course of the season, not just off of kickoffs, but punts, turnovers, even a lot of those have been long fields for the offense to drive. So you just make life so much easier for that group. And I will say special teams has been very good in the punt coverage area all season long. And when you think about the fact that, they're on their third punter, Wishnowski with a beautiful kick yesterday that rolls down to the 3-yard line, in the second half, that was a huge kick. So, yeah, they're doing their part, and you just need that kind of complementary football to just make it a little bit lighter lift for an offense that already has much of the burden.
Blocked field goal should have been on the resume, too, from yesterday. It's probably worth mentioning.
Yeah, oh, my God.
Yeah.
You saw me on how angry I was at halftime. That was a garbage call.
Yeah.
Chris Brown on the Western Hotline. All right, Chris, well, quick turnaround. Houston, we'll chat ahead of that game, and enjoy your victory Monday.
You too, guys. Take care.
Chris Brown, his appearance here on Buffalo Bills Football Monday, brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com. By Northtown Volkswagen, Western New York's #1 VW dealership. Shop online at northtownvw.com. And by Lockport Outdoor Store, high-impact gear for hardworking men and women. One thing, I'm like obsessed with pointing these things out to everybody, so I just want to do that. We mentioned the four punts for the Bills. The Bucs in the second half had 6 drives and scored 12 points. That's great. That's below average. Points per drive are a thing you need to be focused on, maybe even more than points per game. Tampa had 12 possessions in this game. The average number of possessions a team has in an NFL game in this year, 2025, is 9.5. That is the lowest number in 30 years. It's actually the lowest number since Pro Football Reference has been tracking this, which I believe is since 1999. So drives per game are down. It is about how often you score. And some game scripts are going to be different. So the Bills give up their, I said 12 drives and 32 points, so do the math on that. The math on that is...
It's like 2.6.
Let's see if you're right. I'm not doing 2.6, yes. If that's an average game, the average number of drives, that's 20. It's 25 points. So you kind of have to, they gave up 32. You're not going to win giving up 32. Well, if you play a more conservative style and you don't have 12 possessions, you probably give up 25 and hopefully your offense scores 31.
Right.
But this is at the, I don't know if it's analytics or whatever it is. To me, this is the whole point about if they play the way offense they did yesterday, you'll just pull away from teams. If you give Josh Allen 14 drives and you pick the quarterback, 14 drives, who's going to win? I feel like Josh Allen's going to win. And I think this offense had been playing just a conservative style, running, time of possession, completion percentage, and all that was out the window, and they just put up 44 points. So credit to them. And the defense played, if I say a fine game, people might get mad, but
I think fine game.
I just don't think it's nearly as bad as it feels. And again, when you give up 200 on the ground, you're supposed to turn in your man card.
Right.
But if you give up 200 through the air, you had a great day.